A rich CEO got into his car and found a little girl whispering, "No one comes for me." Ben Whittaker had just stepped out of a long, draining board meeting. His tie felt like a noose, and the city air was thick with humidity and car horns. The valet had already pulled up his black Mercedes S-Class, polished to perfection like everything else in his world. He climbed inside, exhaled, and pressed the start button. And then, he heard it. A small voice. Barely above a whisper. "No one comes for me." Ben's head jerked to the right. In the back seat, tucked behind the passenger chair, was a little girl. Maybe 4 years old. Her sweater was too big for her. Her hair was tied in a messy ponytail. Her shoes didn't match. She looked up at him with wide, scared eyes. What the? Ben stammered, turning around fully. "Who are you?" The little girl flinched. She didn't speak. Just stared. Ben glanced around the parking structure. Had someone left her here? Was this a prank? He unlocked the door and stepped out, looking in every direction. "Hello. Is anyone here?" he called out. His voice echoed. Nothing. He turned back. The little girl was still sitting in his car, frozen, clutching a small stuffed bunny that had definitely seen better days. Ben walked back over and opened the back door slowly. "What's your name?" he asked gently. She didn't respond. He crouched down, lowering his voice. "It's okay. I won't hurt you. I don't know why you're in my car." The little girl blinked. Her lips parted. "Lily," she whispered. "Okay, Lily," he said. "Are you lost?" She shook her head. "Did someone put you in my car?" She looked down. "Lily, where are your parents?" She didn't answer that. Instead, she whispered again, "No one comes for me." Ben felt something shift in his chest, something unfamiliar. He was used to numbers, deals, stock prices. Not this. Not children appearing out of nowhere with haunted eyes and no shoes. He looked at her again. "Do you want to get out of the car?" She shook her head. He sighed. "Okay. Then I guess we're staying here for a minute." 10 minutes passed. Ben called security. No one had seen the girl. No one reported a missing child. Then he called the police. As he waited, he bought her a bottle of water and a small bag of pretzels from the nearby vending machine. She accepted them quietly, eating with slow, careful bites. When the officer arrived, Ben explained everything. The officer asked Lily questions, but she stayed silent. The officer gently said they'd take her to Child Protective Services for now. Ben hesitated. "Wait," he said. "Is there another option?" The officer gave him a strange look. "Sir, unless you're a legal guardian or family, no." Ben nodded slowly. "Can I go with her? Just to make sure she's okay?" 2 hours later. Ben sat in a cold office at the CPS building while Lily was taken to a room with a social worker. He couldn't explain it. He just didn't want to leave her there alone. Something about her expression when they'd tried to separate them. It stayed with him. She had reached out and gripped his wrist like he was her last lifeline. A woman named Diane entered with a tablet in hand. "Mr. Whittaker," she said kindly. "Thank you for staying. We've started a file for Lily, but so far we have no records. No school ID, no known guardians." Ben leaned forward. "What happens to her now?" "We try to place her with a foster family until we can find more information. We'll keep you updated." He nodded slowly. Then, "Can I see her before I go?" Diane hesitated, then nodded. "Just for a few minutes." The room was quiet. Lily sat at a small table, coloring with broken crayons. She looked up as Ben entered. He gave a soft smile. "Hey." She put down the crayon. "You leaving?" Ben knelt beside her. "Yeah, but I just wanted to say goodbye." She nodded. Then, in the smallest voice, "Will you come back?" He froze. I don't know, Lily. Maybe? But you're safe here." She looked down again. Ben swallowed hard. "You're very brave, you know that." Lily said nothing. Then he stood, unsure what else to say. He turned to leave, and just before the door closed behind him, he heard her whisper, "You're the first one who came." 2. That night, Ben couldn't sleep. Not even the soft music and dim lights of his penthouse helped. He kept thinking about those words. "You're the first one who came." He tried distracting himself with emails, stocks, deals. But the image of her face kept coming back. The next morning, he canceled his meetings. Told his assistant he was dealing with something personal. Which was rare. Ben Whittaker never dealt with anything personal. He drove back to CPS. "I'd like to check on Lily," he told the receptionist. Diane was surprised. "You came back?" Ben nodded. "I couldn't stop thinking about her." Diane sighed. "She asked about you this morning." That pulled at something deep in his chest. "You can see her for a bit," Diane said. "But Ben, be careful. These kids, they've been through a lot. They don't need more goodbyes." He nodded silently. Lily was sitting on a bench in the courtyard, watching a bird hop across the grass. She looked up and blinked. "You came back," Ben smiled. "I said maybe, didn't I?" She nodded. "You hungry?" He laughed softly. "Are you?" She shrugged. He pulled a small paper bag from behind his back. "Brought pancakes." She tilted her head. "With syrup?" "Of course," he said. They sat side by side on the bench and ate in silence. Halfway through, she looked up at him. "Can you stay this time?" Ben looked at her, a million thoughts racing in his head. His company, his schedule, the chaos this would bring. But in that moment, none of it mattered. "I can try," he said. She nodded, and for the first time, she smiled. Later that week, Ben found himself filling out paperwork he never thought he'd touch. Emergency foster application forms. He hired a family lawyer. Took calls from child psychologists. Moved meetings. Reworked his schedule. Everyone around him was confused. "You've never even had a pet," his best friend, Derek, told him. "Now you're taking in a kid." Ben just shook his head. "She needs someone." "You sure this isn't about you?" Ben paused. "Maybe it is. But I'm not walking away." That night, as Lily slept in the guest bedroom of Ben's condo, wearing brand new pajamas, her bunny tucked beside her, Ben sat on the balcony, staring at the skyline. Everything had changed. And he didn't know where this road would lead. But one thing was clear. He was no longer alone. And neither was she. Ben Whitaker was not the kind of man who asked for help. His whole life had been about being the one with answers, the one in control, the one no one ever had to worry about. But now he was standing in the kids' aisle at a massive department store at 8:00 a.m., on a Thursday morning, utterly lost. He stared at rows of toothpaste with cartoon characters, hairbrushes shaped like animals, and tiny socks with glitter on them. He'd already called his assistant twice. First to cancel his morning meetings. Then to ask if kids needed a special kind of soap. He didn't know what Lily liked. Or what she hated. Or what she was afraid of. He barely knew her favorite color. Though yesterday she'd reached for a purple crayon first. That was something. After 40 minutes of wandering, he filled a cart with basics, pajamas, a toothbrush, hair ties, shoes, more stuffed animals than he could count. Something told him she didn't have any at home, if she even had a home. As he reached checkout, he paused. Then turned around, went back to aisle 7, and picked out a purple nightlight. Just in case. When he returned to the condo, Lily was curled up on the sofa, watching cartoons. Her eyes brightened when he entered. "I got you some things," he said. She stood up, shy but curious. He handed her the shopping bag. One by one, she pulled out the items, her small hands brushing over the new sweater, the soft blanket, the light-up sneakers. "You got purple," she whispered. Holding up the nightlight. He smiled. "Figured you might like it." She nodded, clutching it to her chest. For the rest of the morning, she followed him around like a quiet little shadow. She didn't talk much, but she watched everything he did. When he made coffee, she stood beside the counter. When he typed on his laptop, she sat cross-legged on the carpet near his feet. At lunchtime she finally spoke again. "You always eat sandwiches." He chuckled. "Not always." "Why?" She tilted her head. "My mom used to make soup." The mention of her mother stopped him mid-bite. He looked at her. Careful not to press too hard. "Do you remember her?" She nodded slowly. "Her name was Tara." Still around?" Lily shrugged. "One day she didn't come back." Ben's chest tightened. He leaned forward. "Lily, if we find her, would you want to go back?" Lily didn't answer. She just looked down and traced circles on the table with her finger. "Okay," he said gently. "No pressure. I just want you to be safe. That's all." She nodded. That evening, Ben sat across from his lawyer in his home office. His condo, once sleek and sterile, now had splashes of color, stickers on the fridge, toys in corners, a drawing of a bunny taped to his desk lamp. "I'm serious, Daniel," Ben said, I don't want her bounced around. Daniel leaned back. You know what you're asking for, right? You're applying for emergency guardianship. That's a process. You'll be investigated. Home studies, interviews, even background checks. I don't care. Start it all. Tonight. Daniel nodded. All right. I'll move fast. Ben rubbed his eyes. Thanks. Daniel packed up his files. As he reached the door, he glanced over his shoulder. You sure you're not doing this out of guilt? Ben paused. I don't even know what I'm guilty for. Daniel didn't say anything. Just nodded and left. That night, Lily woke up screaming. Ben rushed into her room. She was sitting up, drenched in sweat, eyes wild. It's okay, he said quickly. You're okay. I'm here. She blinked at him, disoriented. Then she reached out blindly. He didn't hesitate. He sat on the edge of her bed and wrapped her in a hug. It was just a dream. I thought you left, she whispered, voice shaking. I didn't, he said. I'm still here. She clung to him tightly, her small fingers grabbing the fabric of his shirt. I'm not going anywhere, he said again, softer this time. She didn't let go for a long while. 2 days turned into a week. Ben adjusted his life around her. No more late night calls. Fewer business trips. He even had a play corner built in his office, with beanbags and books and blocks. The first time she laughed, really laughed, was when she spilled milk on his laptop by accident, and he slipped trying to clean it up. She had clapped her hands over her mouth in horror, and then burst into giggles when he gave her a dramatic bow. Not funny. He'd grumbled, soaked in milk. Yes it is, she had said through laughter. You look like a wet dog. It became their inside joke. But not everything was easy. Sometimes she shut down completely. Refused to eat. Refused to speak. One afternoon, Ben found her sitting in the closet, curled up in the dark. She wouldn't say why. He sat beside her quietly, waiting. After 20 minutes, she finally whispered. They used to hide me when the bad people came. Ben felt like someone had punched him in the gut. He didn't ask for more. He just stayed there, holding her hand. At the end of the second week, CPS called. We found her aunt, Diane said. She's in Oregon. She's willing to take Lily. Ben stood in silence. Is she a good person? He asked finally. We don't know much yet, Diane admitted. But legally, she's family. That matters. Ben looked across the room. Lily was drawing again. Purple suns and green dogs. Her world was strange and messy and beautiful. Let me talk to her, he said. That night, he sat beside her. Lily, they found someone. Your aunt. She paused. Do I have to go? Ben didn't answer right away. I don't know yet. But she's family. She looked at him, eyes wide. So are you. He blinked. You said you're staying. So you're mine now too. He felt his throat tighten. Lily, you might have to meet her. Will you come with me? Yes, he said. Then okay, she whispered. They flew to Oregon that weekend. The aunt, a woman named Jolene, lived in a small house surrounded by fields. She greeted them with polite words but distant eyes. Ben watched the way she looked at Lily, like she wasn't sure what to do with her. They stayed for dinner. Jolene cooked frozen pizza. Lily barely touched it. She's quiet, Jolene said afterward. Not like her mom. Tara was wild, always trouble. Ben didn't like that comment. She's been through a lot, he replied evenly. Jolene shrugged. Kids bounce back. Ben put his hand gently on Lily's shoulder. She leaned closer to him without even realizing. After they left, Lily stayed silent until they reached the hotel. Then she asked, Can I go home now? Ben looked at her. Lily, I don't want to take you from family. She shook her head. She's not mine. You are. He didn't know what to say to that. But something deep inside him agreed. When they returned to New York, Ben called Diane. I want full guardianship, he said. There was a pause. Are you sure? Yes. Then we'll make it happen. 3 months later. A judge signed the papers. Ben Whitaker, CEO of Whitaker Holdings, Forbes-listed billionaire, once the loneliest man in every boardroom, was now the legal guardian of one small girl with a bunny and a love for purple crayons. And Lily. Lily had a new last name. And every night before bed, when he tucked her in, she whispered the same thing. You came for me. And every time, he answered, always. Ben never imagined that a child could change everything. But Lily had. Not by storming into his life, but by quietly taking a seat in the back of his car, and whispering a sentence that never stopped echoing in his mind. She had been with him for almost 4 months now. 4 months of routines, little victories, and big emotions neither of them fully knew how to name. His world had shifted. Where mornings once began with coffee and market reports, now they began with cereal spills and mismatched socks. His penthouse, once so sterile and quiet, now echoed with the sound of crayons on walls, animated movie soundtracks, and the occasional shriek when Lily found a bug on the balcony. And strangely he loved it. One Monday morning, Ben was running late for a virtual board meeting. His laptop sat open, camera on, but his attention was divided. "Lily, where are your shoes?" She pointed under the couch, still chewing toast. Ben dropped to the floor, pulled out the sneakers, and handed them over. She grabbed his shoulder to keep her balance as she put them on. "Are you going to be late again?" she asked. He shook his head. "I'll be there to pick you up. Promise. You said that last Thursday," she said quietly. Ben winced. She wasn't wrong. Last week, he'd gotten stuck on a call with international investors, and had to send his assistant instead. Lily hadn't cried. But she hadn't smiled much the rest of that evening either. He knelt down, looking her in the eyes. "Today is just you and me. Okay?" She stared for a moment, then gave a tiny nod. Ben's assistant Carmen poked her head into his office around lunchtime. "Sir, we need to review the final draft of the Brazil contract." "Later," Ben said, without looking up. She hesitated. "Ben, the partners fly in tomorrow." He sighed. "I know. But it's Lily's school conference this afternoon." Carmen raised her eyebrows slightly but said nothing. Ben smiled faintly. "I'll review it tonight." She nodded and stepped back. But before leaving, she turned and said, "You're different lately. Happier." Ben paused, then shrugged. "I think I am." That afternoon, Ben sat on a tiny chair in Lily's classroom, surrounded by construction paper, alphabet charts and glitter glue. Her teacher, Ms. Bennett, smiled warmly. "Lily's doing great. She's quiet but she listens, follows instructions, and helps the younger kids." Ben felt pride rise in his chest. "She never used to speak much. I guess she's opening up. She told me about you, Ms. Bennett said." She said, "He doesn't know how to braid hair, but he always tries." Ben laughed. "She's not wrong." Ms. Bennett smiled again, then grew serious. "She's attached to you, Mr. Whittaker. In the best way. But kids like her, they've experienced loss. Sometimes that attachment can come with fear." "Fear of what?" he asked. "Of being left behind again." Ben swallowed. "I won't leave her." "I believe you," she said softly. "Just be ready for the moments when she doesn't believe it herself." That night, as he tucked Lily into bed, she looked up and asked, "When do people stop staying?" Ben blinked. "What do you mean? Everyone goes. My mom. That place with the other kids. Even Miss Jolene. She didn't want me." Ben sat beside her. "I'm not going anywhere." "But how do you know?" He took a breath. "Because when I found you in my car, my whole life changed. And now it doesn't make sense without you in it." She blinked. "I don't know everything," he continued, "but I know I'll be here tomorrow. And the next day. And the day after that." She was quiet for a moment. "Okay," she whispered. And for the first time, she reached up and hugged him without being asked. The next morning, Ben found Lily in the kitchen trying to make pancakes by herself. Flour was everywhere. She looked up guilty. "I wanted to surprise you." Ben grinned. "You did. They made the rest together." "Well, mostly," he flipped. She sprinkled chocolate chips, and together they made a mess neither of them bothered to clean up until after breakfast. Afterward, she handed him a folded piece of paper. "What's this?" he asked. "Homework," she said seriously. "We had to draw our family." Ben opened it. A purple stick figure stood beside a taller blue one. Both had smiling faces. Between them was a small brown dog. He assumed it was Bunny, the stuffed toy. "You gave me hair," he said. Lily nodded. "It looked weird without it." Ben smiled and stuck the drawing on the fridge. That afternoon, Ben got a call that knocked the wind out of him. "Ben Whittaker," said the voice on the other end. "Yes. This is Detective Morales with the NYPD. We believe we've located Lily's biological mother. Ben froze. Tara. Yes, she was picked up in Queens last night, drug possession. She mentioned a daughter in your name. Said you had her. Ben ran a hand over his face. Is she asking for custody? She didn't say that. Just asked if her daughter was okay. Ben's mind raced. Can I talk to her? The detective hesitated. She's in custody for now. But if you'd like, I can arrange a phone call. Ben agreed. They set it up for the next morning. 2. He didn't tell Lily. She was too busy talking to her stuffed animals and planning a picnic in the living room. He didn't want to bring that storm into her calm. But he couldn't sleep that night. The call lasted 6 minutes. Tara, he said. The voice on the other end was raspy. Tired. You've got my daughter. I do. She okay? She's safe. She's happy. There was silence. She don't talk much. Not to me. Never did. She talks now. Ben said softly. Good. Another pause. I'm not good for her. Tara said. I know that. But if she ever asks, just tell her I tried. Ben nodded, though she couldn't see him. I will. Then she hung up. He sat for a long time after that. That evening, Lily asked, Why are you sad? Ben looked at her. I talked to your mom today. Lily paused. Where is she? She's not doing very well. Lily's eyes flickered. Is she coming back? I don't think so. Lily nodded slowly. Then she said, I still remember her laugh. But I don't remember her hugs. Ben wrapped an arm around her. Well, I've got plenty of those. She leaned in. 2 weeks passed, then months. Lily grew. She sang now. She read books aloud. She painted, badly, but proudly. She called Ben Dad, for the first time on a rainy Tuesday afternoon while they were baking cookies. It was quiet, casual. Dad. Pass the sugar. Ben nearly dropped the bowl. But he didn't say anything. Just passed the sugar. And smiled. One night, she brought her bunny to his room. Can Bunny sleep here? Ben lifted the blanket. Of course. She climbed in beside him. What if I wake up and you're gone? He looked at her. Then I guess I'll just have to promise not to go anywhere. She nodded. And fell asleep with her hand resting on his. Ben knew now. This wasn't temporary. This was home. This was family. And for the first time in years, he wasn't afraid of that word. A year had passed since that day in the parking garage. Since Ben Whittaker opened the door of his luxury car, and found a frightened little girl whispering the words that would change both of their lives forever. No one comes for me. And now, Ben had come for her every single day since. The city was waking up slowly as Ben and Lily walked hand in hand through Central Park. It was her birthday, her 6th. She was bundled up in a puffy purple coat and polka-dotted boots, hopping on every crack in the sidewalk like it was a game. Are we there yet? She asked for the 3rd time. Ben grinned. You don't even know where we're going. I still want to know if we're there. He pointed ahead. Almost. No peeking. Okay. She closed her eyes dramatically and held his arm. A few steps later, Ben stopped. Okay, now. Lily opened her eyes. In the middle of the park clearing stood a small group of people, Ms. Bennett, Carmen, Daniel, and a few of the parents from her school. There was a picnic table with balloons. A chocolate cake with purple frosting. And a sign that read Happy Birthday Lily. You are so loved. She blinked at it. Then looked up at Ben. You did this. Ben shrugged. Some help from your favorite people. Lily walked slowly toward the table, running her fingers over the tablecloth, the paper plates, the banner. Then she turned and hugged him tightly. Best day ever. Ben felt his heart swell. As the party went on, Lily played tag with the other kids. She ran, laughed, spilled punch on her boots, and tried to blow out her candles twice before they were lit. For a child who used to sit silently in the corners of rooms, it was a transformation. Carmen leaned in beside Ben. She's come a long way. Ben nodded, watching her. She's the brave one. You too. She said softly. You didn't just save her, you let her save you. Ben said nothing. But deep down he knew it was true. That night, after the cake was gone and the guests had left, Ben carried a sleepy Lily up to her room. She was heavier now. Stronger. Her arms wrapped around his neck without hesitation. He laid her gently in bed and pulled the covers up to her chin. Before he could turn to leave, she mumbled, "Stay." He sat down on the edge of the bed. "Always." Her voice was groggy but clear. "Did you ever feel alone?" Ben blinked. "Yeah, a long time ago." "What did you do?" "I kept working. I thought if I became important enough, the loneliness would go away." "Did it?" "No," he admitted. She was quiet. "What made it stop?" He smiled gently. "You did." She didn't respond. She was already asleep. Weeks passed, seasons changed. And then something unexpected arrived, a letter. Ben read it twice before calling Lily into the living room. She hopped onto the couch beside him. "What's up?" He handed her the letter. "It's from your mom." Lily looked at the envelope but didn't open it right away. "Can you read it?" Ben opened it slowly and began. Dear Lily, I hope someone reads this to you. I'm not good at words. I wanted to say I'm sorry. For everything. For leaving. For not being the mom you needed. I was lost. I still am. But I think about you every single day. I heard you're with someone now. Someone kind. Someone who doesn't give up. I hope you laugh. I hope you dance. I hope you dream big. I don't want to ruin what you have. I just want you to know I tried. And I do love you. Always have. Always will. Love, Mom. Lily was silent for a long time. Then she asked. Do you think she really meant it? Ben nodded. I do. Lily looked out the window. I miss someone I don't remember. Ben put an arm around her. That's okay. Missing is part of remembering. She leaned into him. Can I still call you Dad? His throat tightened. Always. Later that month, Ben received an award, Businessman of the Year. A black tie event, big stage, television cameras. He almost didn't go, but Lily insisted. You never get dressed up anymore. You like the suit. He teased. She grinned. You look like a penguin. He laughed and took her along. She sat in the front row beside Carmen, proudly wearing a sparkly purple dress. When Ben stepped on stage, he looked out at the crowd. He'd stood on stages like this hundreds of times. Given countless speeches. But never one that mattered like this. He adjusted the mic. Tonight's supposed to be about business. About deals and growth and numbers. But I want to talk about something else. He glanced down at Lily. About a little girl who changed my life just by sitting in the back of my car. She didn't say much at first. Just one line. One sentence that cracked me open. He paused. She said, no one comes for me. The room was quiet. But I came for her. And the truth is, she came for me too. She reminded me that success isn't about buildings or money or press releases. It's about connection. About showing up, every single day. He looked back at her. She made me a father. And I'll spend the rest of my life making sure she never doubts someone will come for her again. Applause filled the room. But Ben only looked at Lily, who gave a small, proud clap of her own, then pointed at him and mouthed, That's my dad. Time went on. Ben learned to braid hair, badly. He attended school plays and parent-teacher meetings. Took Lily to museums. Answered hard questions about life and love and why some people disappear. They argued sometimes. Especially about bedtime. But each night ended with a hug and a whisper. Good night, Dad. Good night, Lily. On the second anniversary of the day they met, Ben took her back to the parking garage. It was raining lightly. The same as that day. She stood beside the car, now 2 feet taller and more confident. This is where you found me, she said. He nodded. And I whispered. Ben smiled. I remember. She looked up at him. Do you ever think about what would have happened if you hadn't heard me? All the time. He said quietly. She held his hand. I'm glad you did. So am I. 2 years later, Lily would tell the story again and again. To friends. To counselors. To her own children, one day. How she was once the little girl no one came for. Until one man did. Not because he had to, but because he chose to. And that made all the difference. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Tell us in the comments what you learned from it. And thank you for giving your precious time.